everybody, it's Romania Black, and I'm so excited. I sat down today, I was like, look, as soon as the moderator floor was like, here's the comments you can read, here's the ones that are spoilers, I was like, check, gonna do that, because we are on episode 4 of season 2 of Windbreaker. We're gonna be a third of the way through the season after this episode. I don't like that. I don't like that, but I have my bingo card ready to go, ready to see if we're going to get a blackout today or if we're going to get a bingo. I don't know. We'll see. But we've got some comments that we need to go to specifically for episode 1 that we need to talk to now that episode 1 is on YouTube and episode 2, as I'm recording this, is on Patreon. We got a couple comments we need to dive through. Alexandra Q, as well as Pink Yeti and Maximo Bravo, all three of them pointed out, and Algimalgium, but we'll get to Algimalgium's comment in a little bit. They point out, I'm sorry, but the moment we hear Keel's leader, I couldn't not do a double take because the voice sounded so familiar. He's Yuji's voice actor from Jujutsu Kaisen. It's so weird to hear him as a bad guy after he's such a sweetheart in Jujutsu Kaisen. I didn't even notice. No, didn't even notice he was the bad guy, which now that I think about it, I thought about it for a little bit and thought, yeah, it is his voice. That's so crazy. You know what? I bet he had a lot of fun playing Keel's leader. I bet he had a lot of fun playing Notori because he gets to be a character that he doesn't normally get to be. So that's fun. But wow, definitely going against typecast for sure in that sense. Speaking of Maximo Bravo, they said, since you were counting, this is easier to spot on the manga panels than in the anime's quick shots. But in season 1, when Sakura gets elected to grade captain and Narai makes class group chats, there's a shot on Sakura's phone showing the number of new contacts he has. And you can see that the class 1-1 group has a total of 35 members. In the span of a day and a half, Sakura went from having no contacts on his phone except for weather to having 38. His 34 classmates, his 3 second-year senpais, and Kotoa. I'm like, that's so sweet. So yeah, okay, there's 35 members of class 1 that went to go fight Keel, and then the 3 others showed up. Nice. I want Sakura to get some contacts from the third years as well. We'll see if that happens. Algumalgum says, following the Boferin and Shishitoran footsteps, you are accurate in that keel has a theme. A keel is a large beam that is a foundational piece of a ship, important for balance. The first piece set when building a ship. Oh, like if it's even keel. I know that the phrase even keel means that it's balanced. It's kind of like a level. Oh, okay. Now we're connecting the dots. I love that. Also, I like the idea that the keel is a large beam and it's like they've been fighting with planks and steel beams, fun stuff like that. Their lair is a shipyard. And starting with Nagato and continuing with everyone else that had a name reveal this episode that you wrote down, all of them have references to Japanese battleships. Well, that's cool. I like a good theme. I like that the mangaka's on top of this. Nice. VA-wise, among the 5 keel lieutenants, you've heard Renji Kaga before as Albert in Orb on the Movements of the Earth. Sakai Ichigo in Haikyuu. Taishi Mogami you've heard as Bossin in the Apothecary Diaries. Come on, Bossin! And Bug Eyes in Vinland Saga. Yes! And Hansuke Tone you've heard as Akira Kunimi in Haikyuu. I like that we're getting a lot of Haikyuu voice actors in Windbreaker, which is not surprising because this is basically a battle shonen that's also like, it could be a sports anime. Give these boys a soccer ball and we're done. Juliet Daydream Lover Me. It says for episode 1, the second season has started and it's absolutely insane. I still remember how terrified I was when I saw how they left Narai. Up until now, he's been a great support, but I understand why he might think he's a burden. Even so, I love the fact that Suo kept him close, even knowing that this would hinder his movement when fighting. How close they've become is comforting. Yeah, the Narai and Suo ship has instantly grown for me this season, and this next comment furthers that even more. Kaylin V, 8510, or 8150, says, I always wince when I see the moment Suo protects Narai, because Narai is not wrong. Suo's fighting style consists of dodging and using the opponent's movement and weight against them, which means he works best when he has a lot of room for movement. Also means he works best when he's fighting alone. Now that we look back at Shishitoran, he really was by himself, and he did move out of the way for that guy to move a lot. But when he's protecting Narai, that freedom is severely limited and you can see it. Instead of dodging and pushing, he's forced to take the brunt of the hits, and you can see his arms getting hit by the metal bats. Him saying that he fights better with someone to protect, to me, reads as, quote, I'm willing to take more hits knowing I'm protecting someone by doing so. Which is noble, but also really worrying. Yeah, I didn't realize that Suo got hit with the metal bats because that's something else too. Suo kind of bothers me a little bit behind the surface because we don't see him eat a lot, which that bugs me. As somebody who's had an eating disorder before, I'm like, I see the telltale signs and I'm like, that bothers me. I worry about your health, sir. And then also the fact that he had the coat on, we don't see the bat hits. Like if he took the coat off and his arms were bruised, then you'd be like, oh yeah, no, but he keeps everything. Suo wants to keep the appearance of put together. And sometimes when characters want to appear put together all the time, that means that internally things are not great. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, and then Sunspots for episode 2 just said, I like the way it's shown that Keel members make so many assumptions because on the surface they are identifying and seeing the same behavior, but the reality is much more complex. So yeah, I'm excited for episode 4 of season 2, but I am a little bit nervous about what's to come. Don't get me wrong. Before we start real quick though, I know I've taken up a lot of your time, but I do want to give a shout out to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon for the month of February because they've done so much to help support me on the channel along with everyone on Patreon. So thank you all so much. You all are amazing. But I want to give a shout out in alphabetical order to Alex Cornejo, Alexandra Q, Be Happy, Dana, Damage3245, Daniel, Devorin, Destiny Marie, Diana Williams, Ichu, Eric, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, James L. Freya, Lou Genesis, Lyndon, Murphy, Rast, Rose Jennison, Sunspots, Translucent Men, Shimoyama, Zero Anti-Zero, Nicholas, Sean, and Jason N. The last of those are in the commission tier, but they're still getting a shout out because they're giving me a lot of donations for the channel, and so thank you! I really appreciate all of your support. You all are amazing. All of my love. Everyone on Patreon deserves praise because they're awesome too. So anyway, we've wasted enough time. I got a bingo card to score and we need to get into this episode. So we are not looking at the OP or the ED yet. So y'all just gonna have to bear with me. Just bear with me. We'll get there. Don't you worry. But in any case, I have down season 2 after episode 4, I can look at it. So, okay, we can look at the ED after this episode. That's exciting. Also, I've been told that there are no more end credit scenes. I asked the moderator today, I was like, hey, they were like, did you see the end credit scene for episode 3? I was like, yeah, I got it. And they were like, oh, thank God. And so I was like, are there any more end credit scenes? They're like, no. So good thing we caught that one. But we are going to start episode 4 of Windbreaker season 2. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And I'm digging this graffiti, so let's go. I freaking loved this episode. Oh my gosh. Windbreaker. Oh, Windbreaker, you are doing all of the things. You are doing all of the good things on here. Okay, before we dive into talking about this episode, because it was really good, holy cow, we need to talk about our bingo card and see if we get any closer to a bingo or a blackout on here. So, Sakura blushing. Do we count this as a Sakura blushing episode? I think we do. Sakura did blush, for sure. Suo, we did not get any fighting moves. Narai did freak out, so we can talk about that. Handshake or a hug? There was not a handshake or a hug. I don't believe so in here. Kotoa did serve food, though, so we've gotten our first across the top row. I don't know if I should call it a bingo or not because it's not an official bingo, but we did finally, it took till Ep 4 to clear that row, so we'll make a note of that at least. But yeah, Kotoa did serve food. Non-OP ED garden shot. We did get that. We saw a little bit of the tomatoes that was in Umemiya's garden. So we did get that shot. All right, got that. Got another step closer. And also that's our second one there. Okay. So we cut off that. We're almost halfway to a blackout. New character backstory. I don't think we got a new character backstory. No. Well, do we count Kaji's conversation with Hiragi as character backstory? I do. So yeah, we're gonna call it. Okay. Abs on display. There were abs on display. They were flashback abs, but flashback abs are actual abs. So we're gonna call it. Antagonist shipped with Sakura. And no brawl. So no bingo there. Torn clothing? No. Sakura flying kick? I'm not going to count flashbacks on that one. We only did that for abs. Kaji was sassy. Was Kaji sassy? He did kick. He did punch Umemiya. Kaji's been sassy every episode so far. So to be real with you all, I did not anticipate seeing Kaji as much as we have in this series. I thought we were going to meet Kaji. He was going to serve his purpose. His purpose is still being served, and he's still showing up, and I'm not mad about it. Umemiya jumps at Kotoa. No, he was shown in the little blip as a chibi, but he did not jump from her, so none of that. Character derp face. Do we call Sakura's cat face a character derp face? Do we call it that? That we might have to get some footage on here to justify that. Wind chime symbolism. I don't think we had any wind chime symbolism. Hiragi takes stomach meds. No, Sakura got to take those this time. Sakura gave a piggyback ride. Nope. Bofrin aids the townsfolk. This fourth line here is like, what is happening so far? Sugi grumpy face. Did we see a Sugi grumpy face? Maybe in the flashbacks. Sakura backstory moment? I feel like maybe, I don't know if I would consider the Sakura stuff we got to be backstory moments, because it's been the stuff we've gotten from season 1, where it was just literally that he's always been on his own, but we've not actually gotten like a flashback. Not, at least not like with Hiragi and Kaji in this episode. New gang did not appear. There were no bloody knuckles, but Sakura was Sakura praised? Yeah, Umemiya praised him, so we'll call it that. But yeah, so the first 2 lines we've at least gotten taken care of. We are halfway to a blackout. All right, we're gonna wait about that character derp face though, and the Sugi grumpy face. I don't know if we would have those or consider them, but getting closer to that bingo, right? I want to talk about this episode, so we just need to dive into it and check it out here in 3, 2, 1. Starting with the graffiti. I'm a big sucker of the graffiti on Bofrin's wall. I think it looks great. I feel like a little bit gets added every now and then. Also, the roots from the trees on the roof growing out into the side of the building is a really cool shot. We got a little bit of that. Okay. Anzai drinking the orange juice with a cut in his mouth. No, sir. That would hurt like hell. Anytime I drink like orange juice or pineapple juice, or I eat pineapple, I get sores on the inside. My mouth does not react good to acid. Like citric acid gets my mouth really easily, and I get like sores on the side of my gums and stuff from too much orange juice or pineapple. So I'm like, eh. But yeah, it'd be like pouring salt into an open wound. No. But I'm glad that Anzai is at least back to normal. This shaved head guy, I forget his name. I feel like every guy in anime with a shaved head acts like this. Like not toxic masculine, but like stereotypical like bro. Like every anime guy with a shaved head. Whereas whether it's Tanaka from Haikyuu, or it's the guy from Summer Hikaru Died, or it's like they all have a shaved head and they all act kind of stereotypically. And I'm not mad at it. It's just kind of funny. But yeah. That's really cute. I love just watching the Bofrin guys just having a good old time. And then kudos to Kiryu with his apple juice. Nice. And then Suo just has, is it tea? Does Suo have like a little tea there? Tea in a water maybe? Perhaps, methinks. Yeah, they said they'll rub lemon all over your wounds. Yeah, that's so cute. Anzai, I love him. This looks so cute with him. So they find out that Sakura, everybody immediately gets a little bit tense when they're like, Sakura hasn't answered his text messages from Narai. What is going on? And so he tries to call him, and they make note that it's almost 1 o'clock and he hasn't shown up. And so like, I wonder what was going on. It looked like this guy back in the corner almost looks like Sugi just hanging out against the blackboard. Maybe it's Sugi, maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. But they call him. And then he immediately hangs up, and everybody's like, what is wrong with Sakura? And it turns out that he's caught a cold. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's sick. We can't be having this. Like, we've got to get our boy some stuff. So let's get past this OP. All right. I'm glad I can watch the ED now. The ED was really pretty. So yeah, so everybody's worried about Sakura. And they go to see him. And Narai's like, man, Sakura said, he's from out of town. I didn't realize he'd be living this close. So neither Narai nor Suo nor anyone else knew really anything about Sakura up until this point, which makes sense. This leads me to believe that Narai lives with his family. this makes me believe that Narai lives with his parents, because Narai just he assumed that Sakura was living with his family. Suo, on the other hand, I don't know about, because if you watch Narai versus Suo's reactions, his reaction is a little bit different. I guess him entering middle school and his family moving coincided. And Suo just says, well, we'll know when we get there. Yeah. So you're like, this is it. And there's a big sign that says for rent, a cat outside, and it just looks pretty run down. Which, if you're somebody that here's the thing, is Sakura even planning to stay here, or is he just squatting here? If you told me that Sakura snuck into this building and the water was just turned on and there's some electricity, but there's nobody really checking on it, I would believe that. If you told me that he's just been living there on his own and just kind of squatted in there and snuck in there, I would believe it. I like Suo's like, oh, a haunted house. And he's like, Suo, this place looks like it's built for single residents. What's that all about? So then they go up, the doorbell's broken, and Suo's like, let's just go on in. Here's the thing. We know nothing about Suo's backstory. And the fact that Kotoa and Suo did not have much of a reaction other than like, oh, so this is how it is. That to me tells me that Suo has grown up in a similar environment. I've talked about that in season 1, because Suo always has to look pristine and put together, but he's had this accident where he's lost his eye. I feel like Suo came from a really bad environment. My headcanon is Suo came from a really bad environment, and the whole pristine look is a front so that people think he's in control of a situation and maybe he's not. That's just my headcanon. We'll see if that actually, bodes true or not. I don't know. But yeah. Whereas Narai seems to have come from like a much different home life. And Kotoa, we know that her and Ume have kind of been through like a foster system or an orphanage system. So to her, this is nothing. She probably knows exactly what this has been like. And that's the thing. I think like Umemiya has been through a similar situation as well, and Sakura just doesn't know it yet. So yeah. But like the rusty faucet, the fact that it's just like this plain sink, they just got something on the table there. It's like takeout. There's nothing on the walls. There's nothing homely about this place at all. And Narai's like, does he really live here? And Suo's like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. And he's like, we're just going to go on in. And I like that Suo is like, look, Sakura needs us. Are you just going to like stand out there and not give him his food? Suo was like, just come inside the house, Narai. I like they assumed he'd be dead on the cot. I'm like, this is not great with the fireflies. We're not going to go there. And then Sakura's like, oh, I'm glad that Sakura was not naked, because when he opened up the door and we got this shot, and Suo's just like, hey! Suo's like, well, glad we barged in. But no, it's just him in like his boxers. And that's it. And he's like, oh, well, hello. What are you guys doing? And yeah, things are not great. This place is a dump. I mean, it just doesn't look hygienic at all. It looks like it's never been cleaned, which why would Sakura clean it, right? Looks like you have it pretty rough. Yeah, Suo looking slightly concerned is interesting, that Suo's like, oh yeah, you need to go lay down. And of course, to Sakura, this is the worst case scenario. Sakura's used to being by himself. He just is used to like cuddling up a little ball and he'll get through it. And now these people have come into his house, and he's not even mad that they're seeing like the state he's living in. They're mad that they're there, that they're just there trying to help him. He's like, I don't want you guys seeing that I need help. And so it was like, time to go back. Which again, makes me believe that Suo has come from a similar environment as well and is like, get back in here. We'll get you your food. Yep. Also, this is his room. It's giving off very March Comes In Like a Lion vibes. It's just this tiny little space where there's enough room for a cot. He somehow has a blanket, at least, and just like a charger for his phone, and that's it. There's like nothing else in here. Like, if I were Sakura's friend and I walked in here and saw he just has been eating whenever he can and getting drinks wherever he can, and there's just nothing here, I'd feel really sad. I'd feel really sad because I'd feel like he deserves better than that. And he's like, are you living all alone? I like that Suo's question isn't, you're living in this environment. He's like, are you living all alone? Like, I like that Suo is not questioning, like, the why he's living there, not questioning the environment, not questioning the status of the place. He's just like, are you by yourself? Like, I like the Suo. That's what concerns Suo, not the aesthetics around them. I really like how this episode was animated. It looked beautiful. And so then this is the point, because Sakura's like, well, what if I am alone? What are you going to say about that? And Suo doesn't say, you need to clean. He doesn't say, this place is a dump. He doesn't say anything. He just says, do you have cold medicine? Do you want me to go get you some? Suo's like, is someone else here that can take care of you? Or do you want me to go get that for you since you're by yourself? That's so impressive to me about Suo, that he immediately is like, there's no judgment. He's just like, I want to help you. So what can I do to aid you in that? And he's like, no, I don't need it. And Narai's like, well, is there anything you want to eat? And he's like, I don't want to eat. And Suo's like, our boy Sakura, who always is hungry, has no appetite. I thought they were going to roll him over in that bed, in that little blanket. And he's not even talking back to me. And then Narai's like, well, in any case, to be living alone in a place. Narai judges, because Narai is like, this is beyond what he would expect him to be. Who in the world is Sakura? And Suo's like, hey, let's get him this food. Like, I like that Narai can't help but judge because he wants to understand. And it's not judging in a bad way. He just wants to know why Sakura's like this. And Suo is like, let's not judge him. Let's just get him some help and do that. And this is from all the guys, Everyone was really worried and wanted you to get better soon. And he's like, I don't know the details, but, it's all the more if you're living by yourself. He's like, you should rely on us more. And he's like, well, I've been talking about that all since yesterday. And he's like, I've always dealt with this stuff on my own. It'll get better once I sleep it off. It's not a big deal. And see, that moment right there, whenever he says, I'll sleep it off, it's not a big deal. Suo has probably been in a similar situation. I'm just calling it. I'm going to say Suo has been in a similar situation. And he understands exactly what Sakura is going through. And he's like, okay, yep. He's like, I've been there. I wanted to be by myself. We're just going to let him be. He'll be fine. He'll sleep it off and he'll come to school tomorrow and it'll be right as rain. But Narai, I do like that Narai kind of challenges Suo. And he's like, but I want to help him. I don't want him to think that we're not there for him when we clearly are. And he needs to get that through his brain. I like that they challenge, about it. He says, it's good not to stay long. We got to get him all this stuff. I like this shot here. He's like, shall we head back? And at first Narai is like, well, this shot here, whenever Narai is like, well, but wait a minute, shouldn't we stay here and help? There's this shot right here. I want to get right to it. That look, whenever Suo wants to give a look and he's like, we're going to go now. Suo is so mysterious. I feel like Umemiya and Suo are the two most mysterious characters of this show because there's so much we don't know about them. And Suo's just like, hey, look, I know what Sakura's going through in a sense. Let's leave him alone. We're going to go home for today. And Narai's like, he's like, okay, but I'm still going to give you grief about it. The Narai and Suo shipping has not escaped me. But also the Suo Sakura shipping has not escaped me either. They're both there. They had to make Sakura just look like really handsome when he's sick. So it's that Victorian waif syndrome. He just, looks really sick. Also, Suo with his hands clutched behind his back. I feel like that's whenever Suo is pensive or thinking about something, he puts his hands behind his back. And he's like, why are we going home? Aren't you worried about him? And Suo's like, well, yes, but he's like, I don't know what happened, but Sakura wants his peace. He wants his space. He's like, I think that he really has been alone all this time. And Narai's like, well, shouldn't we help him there? And I like that you have these two guys with two varying different views on how to help someone. And then you have the road cut in half. And Suo brings up a great point here that Kaji is going to kind of touch back on and elaborate on in his own way for Sakura. But Suo's like, okay, let's say you're lost and you had one thing to help you. What would you use? And Narai says a smartphone. And I like that Suo's reflection is in the phone. I love that. That's such good visually. And Suo's like, well, yeah, you would choose the phone because you know how to use it. And it's a tool for you. He's like, Sakura is in trouble, but we're handing him these tools of friendship that he has no idea what to do with. So he's already overwhelmed and he's sick. He's like, it's just that he doesn't know what to do with them right now, and they're overwhelming him. And there's all of these text messages. This one's from Junpei Kurita saying, Sakura, how you feeling? It's the motorcycle. And then it goes to Yuri saying, are you okay? And then Anzai says, make sure to rest up, okay? And then he says, for now, acting normally would let him save his strength physically and mentally. And I like these two schools of thought because they really are. Like, Narai and Suo are approaching this from two very different schools of thought. Suo probably can relate to Sakura a little bit. And he's like, hey, let's just let him go. Let him rest up. It's going to be all right. We won't have to worry about it. He'll be good tomorrow. But Narai's like, yeah, but we still need to let him know that we care. So I like that they kind of had a different opinion about it. He's like, I get what you're saying, but I want him to know that all the tools are there, which he does figure out. Sakura finds that out when he wakes up. He's like, but, he can resolve things if he trusts us. And he's like, I said I would guide him, so I want to be able to do that when he's in trouble, even if it's something little. And I like that Suo's kind of touched by that. He's like, it's like, well, Narai, you're a damn saint. And that's when Kotoa shows up. Now, the question is, was she on her way to give him something? Because here's the thing. I think she made the Kongri. I think she made the Kongri after, Umemiya, because she talked to Umemiya. I think word got out at the school that Sakura was sick. Umemiya found out, because of course he did. And he told her, and she made the kanji and to take to him, right? So yeah, poor Sakura's like, who is here? First he scrounges through the bag. It's felt like freaking Kira from Haikyuu. Hydration is important, says Takanashi. Get well soon, says Kiryu. Vitamin C for cold, says Anzai. This is yummy, says Kakuchi. I love all this food they give him. It's so cute. Aww. I love that. And of course, Sakura's like, everyone, he's like, I've always done this by myself. He's like, what do you mean people are caring about me and giving me things? He's like, I've always been fine. Like, I don't know how to deal with this. And at first I thought this was on the rooftop, but then I realized it was the last episode of the restaurant. And he's like, I don't know, Umemiya, what to do about all this. He's like, what am I supposed to do? I like that he's like, no, I don't want more people to show up. No. I think he was maybe expecting everyone to be showing up. And he was like, I don't have time for that. And then it's Kotoa, and she's like, oh, love it. She's like, oh, did I wake you? And again, she doesn't bat an eye at where they are. Girl doesn't even bat an eye. I think she knew. I think because she's grown up in a similar environment with Umemiya, I think she's known for a while Sakura and how his situation is. She just doesn't judge and hasn't said anything. I definitely think that that's the case. He's like, oh God, I mean, will we call this a dirt face? Maybe. Okay, it's egg kanji. Yeah, eat what you can. I don't know. I don't know if I would call it a dirt face. It's more like a little sad face. He has like a little sad kitten face. Maybe more than anything. But I like that she must have known as well, because she brought the bag that the pot was in. And she also bought a big bag of like the waters and everything. So girl knew. Girl had been told, right? She's like, this doesn't look like a room anyone would want to live in. She's like, how are you going to get any girls to come over, Sakura? How are you going to get any guys to come over, Sakura? You've at least put up a curtain. And he's like, stop it. She's like, at least you have an appetite. She's like, I saw Narai and Suo out earlier, and Narai was pretty much panicking. Well, we got that on the bingo card. And he's like, well, they did something they shouldn't have. And she's like, bitch, I already knew. Put this patch on. She's like, I know about your fight that you got and why you got a fever. And he's like, well, she's like, is it about your buddies freezing up? And he's like, why do you know that? I love that she's like, you're easy to read. And Umi keeps telling me. Of course he does. Of course he does. It's adorable. So yeah, he's like, I don't want my body to change how it moves because of something abstract like me having friends. And she's like, well, you're just going to have to deal with it because, sorry, you can't help it once it happens. I like how realistic Kotoa is. She's like, look, you got to deal with this. Think of a way to get around it. She's like, how about you delegate to people who can act on your behalf? And he's like, kind of like what Kaji does. And Sakura's like, the idea of him delegating anything to anyone, he's already felt bad enough by giving the vice captain slots to Narai and Suo, you might as well have been asking him to go jump off the Eiffel Tower. He's like, this is something I gotta do on my own. It's a personal issue. And she's like, well, you don't get food. I like that we've got 3 analogies in this episode. We've got Suo talking about the analogy of being on the island and not being able to use the resources that are given to you, which is a very real life skills related thing to talk about. But also, I'm like, she says, can you make this? She's like, this isn't hard to make. It just requires water and heat. But she says, you, as we see now, she's like, you just dump in the ingredients, put it over a fire. But she's like, as a matter of fact, you don't have a stove, which the fact that he doesn't have a stove in this house, I'm like, you can't heat anything up? What about if the apartment gets cold? You can't heat the building? She's like, you don't have a pot. You don't have the ingredients. You're just basically sleeping here. She's like, yeah. She's like, this stuff isn't hard to do, but you need the tools to be able to do it. And right now, you don't have the skills or the tools. She's like, so thus, I made this for you, and you were able to sleep when you woke up and you had a meal and water and you have medicine now. She's like, it's, even if it's something that you can do, because someone else did it for you, you were able to do something else. Like, that's the thing. Like, sure, you could have made your own food, but you were sick. So that's why you rely on others to help do it for you so that you can focus on getting stronger. She's like, it's okay to rely on people because there's only so many things that one human can do in a limited amount of time. And that's when he thinks of Kaji, who said that there's not much he can do. And she's like, well, but even so, relying on others and asking favors for them is scary at first. I literally had this happen, and I was thinking about it during the reaction. I have a student that does not have reliable transportation to school. Like, they just don't have reliable transportation. And I won't get into details about it, but for the longest time, they were having trouble getting to school. And I'm like, you're on a team, like, ask your teammate to pick you up. And they didn't want to do it. And they're like, no, I'll figure it out. I'll get it. And I think it kind of relates to what Kaji talks about, that this student was afraid of being rejected, which is a very real thing, being afraid of being judged, afraid of being rejected, afraid of them, saying no, and then that just adding to their stress. And like Kotoa says, it is scary at first, but I noticed that student like a few months ago, they were like, hey, can somebody pick me up? And their friend was like, yeah, I can do it. And since then, other people have been able to help them get to school because they don't judge. They don't care. They're like, yeah, I'll come pick you up. It's totally fine. Like, that's really big. So yeah, it is scary at first. And then he gets better. He's had all the medicine. I like that he's had the medicine. He's lived the Hiragi lifestyle. He's cleaned the pot out. I like that he cleaned the pot out. That speaks a lot to me. Seeing that Sakura cleaned the pot out speaks a lot because, he didn't leave it dirty. This shot here, when he slicks the hair back and he sits there with the hair back, he looks like Umemiya. In that shot, I don't think it's a coincidence that we see the white side of the hair, right? We see the white side with the hair pushed back. He looks kind of like Umemiya, and I'm like, So I thought he was going back to see his friends, but why would he be worried? His friends care about him. Instead, he goes to see Kaji, who's like, what the fudge? I like that Kaji's classmates are giving him a hard time, just like how Sakura's classmates give him a hard time. This guy with the black hair pushed back, he's interesting. I like him. Also, the 2 guys making kissy faces. I like this one guy who has like this Kiryu-esque looking guy here with his face just like cat face, like, what's going on? That's really funny. And Kaji's like, I hate you all the time. And he's like, oh, you're Sakura, huh? And everybody's like, oh, cool. Did you tame this man? I like that Sakura's like, tamed. And Kaji's like, shut up. Don't tell him. We've come so far. These guys here with the kissy faces, just stop it. I can't believe the second years tease Kaji so much. And he's like, Kasumi, Inamoto, get over here and shut these people up. I love it. I love they both instantly like, yes, you rang. He's like, don't let them follow us. Love it. So then he's like, what do you want? I like that we have the bend. We got all the graffiti there. He's like, what do you want? And he's like, back when we fought, and he basically explains what we all know has been the issue. He's like, how do I rely on others? I get a vague idea that I have to rely and trust others, but how do I do that? Also, this shot here, The little tiniest details in the show are some of the things I love the most about Windbreaker. This moment here where Kaji looks down at Sakura's fist, it's such a tiny little moment. It's so good. It's so good. I love those little gestures. Those are great. And he's like, what about it? And he's like, well, when we're fighting and we're on patrols, how do you rely on everybody else so much? And in this moment, I think Kaji realized in this exact moment that this was a repeat of when he asked Hiragi the same thing. Like the generational passing down the advice. I love it. I live. How can I be like that? So he basically, he's like, well, shut up. He's like, I have to think about, I like that he's like, shut up, I have to think about this. He's like, I love that in that moment, Kaji's like, how did Hiragi do it? How did Hiragi go through the motions? How did he go from this to that? How do I repeat it for Sakura? And now what happened was he buys the coffee, just like Hiragi did, and gives it to Kaji, and Sakura's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with this. I don't drink coffee. And so then he sets them down. I like that he's like, okay, how did this go? You can tell Kaji's like, how did this go? I got him a coffee, and then we went to the rooftop. I love it. And I don't know where Umemiya was hiding at. Where was Umemiya hiding at? I don't know. He's like, what are we doing on the roof? He says, I heard from Hiragi, you bitch, that when you talk about things like this, it's better to do in a high open place. Shut up. And he sits down the same way that Hiragi did. Ah! But of course, Kaji sat right next to Hiragi for their conversation. And this is not going to be exactly like that conversation with Hiragi. He's like, how can I rely on others? Was that it? He gives them the same talk. And he's like, well, yes. And he's like, I don't do that. I do that because I can't do things by myself. And he's like, but that's admitting that you're weak. And I don't want to admit that I'm weak. I don't want them to reject me. I can't do something like that. So then Kaji's like, okay, I need to do the analogy. Where's the green tea analogy? And he's like, okay. He's like, you can say all you want that you're one thing, but if you're another thing, it doesn't matter. He's like, saying you can't do things when you can't. It's saying you can do it when you can't. It's like saying this is green tea when it's coffee. I love the analogy. You know you can't do much of anything, and you realize you have to rely on others, but you're scared of being rejected. And Sakura's like, well, me, scared of rejection? No, I don't care what others think of me, says the man who cares about what everyone thinks of him. Yeah, and so he's like, I thought I didn't care anymore. I love that Sugi's always catching strays. I love that in Sakura's mind, Sugi doesn't like him, so he's looking away. I'm like, give Sugi a little more credit. Again, ab flashbacks are ab flashbacks. They saw what I could do. They saw I could fight and decided I'd be the grade captain. Which, from Sakura's logic, that makes a lot of sense because he's like, they picked me to be captain because I was strong. If I show them that I'm weak now by relying on them, then they're not going to trust me and they're going to realize that they made a bad decision. And he's like, and I don't want them to know that I couldn't live up to their expectations. I like that this all looks like a movie projector and it's all like a film and it shuts off like a film. I like that. If I admitted that in front of them and then relied on them on top of it, you can get that Sakura's like, I don't want to lie to them and I also don't want to let them down and I also don't want them to feel like I'm taking advantage of them. And Kaji's like, you are assuming the worst of these people who have literally stood there and told you that it's okay. Also, I think Hiragi is right. Kaji will eat through all the candy that they've spent their budget on. He's like, I think they already realize that you're scared. I love that he's just like, come on, Sherlock. You didn't realize they think you're scared? I love this. Do we call that a derp face? I'm gonna call it a derp face. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get it. I don't think Sugi had a grump face this episode, but let's get into it. Episode 4, we're gonna have character derp face. Right there. That's gonna give us our bingo roundup for today. Yeah. When he's like, what are you talking? Yeah. Sakura's like, what do you mean that they already know? And Kaji's like, oh my god. He's like, why? How do they know I'm scared? And Kaji's like, because anyone can figure it out. He's like, you snapped? And we're like, yelling and all this, he's like, oh dear God, you've not interacted with people, so you don't know how they figure out things. He's like, I know. Kaji saying cats and dogs intimidate us when they're scared. The idea that Kaji imagines Sakura as this cat is freaking hilarious. So hilarious. Oh my God. He's like, it's like that. That is nightmare fuel, but also hilarious. And then Kaji's like, well, I like that he tries to also use the analogy of the ghost on the rooftop. And he's like, they thought it was a ghost of a girl, but when they went to confirm it, it was just a shovel in a bag. And Sakura's like, so they were scared for no reason. And Kaji's like, yes, you are also being scared for no reason. Like, they've already supported you. They're not one of them is gonna reject you. They didn't back then. They're not going to now. I also like Sakura's little cat eye lashes there. He's like, it's gonna be fine. He's like, they're looking at you and who you are, not what you can do. That's the thing. I love that. It's like they're looking at who he is as a person. It doesn't matter what he can do. Who he is as a person is what matters moving forward. And I freaking love that. And Sakura's so moved. Like, it finally clicks to him in that moment. I love it. Also, he still has a little patch on his head here and by his eye. And that also resembles kind of Umemiya's scar by his eye. So I'm just saying. And then Kaji's like, you're getting scared for no reason, thinking they're going to reject you. They're not going to reject him. They haven't yet, and they're not now. From my point of view, it just seems like you're not giving a proper look at all. I like that from that viewpoint. Everything's like really dark and blurry. I like that Kaji describes it as such. I don't know what happened to make you be like that, but I can understand how it feels. Yeah. I love that Kaji can relate to him. That's so awesome. And he's like, just look at your friends how you think that they are. Because you're not, again, Suki's looking away. But he's like, believe in them. They believe in you, so it's going to be okay. And then at that moment, Kaji gets like really blushy where he's like, okay, I gave you advice. I did what Hiragi told me. So why are we still talking? He's like, I talk too much. And then he looks over. And Umemiya's like, you did it. You guys did it. You guys did it so much. And oh my God, Kaji's tsundere alarm went off so hard. Hiragi's like, you're going to embarrass the kid. He's going to freak out. And freak out he did. Oh my God, I love that Sakura has the cat moment where he tenses up and there's the cat thing. And Kaji's like, oh my God, you saw. My hero saw me be soft. And he's like, well said, Kaji. Oh my God, he's like, knock it off. Both of you have grown up so much. They're like the worst thing you could say to a tsundere. And oh my God, Kaji's look of betrayal. Kaji's look of betrayal to Hiragi when he makes that look, that is a look of utter betrayal. He's like, how could you let him see me like this? And Hiragi's like, look, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to eavesdrop. Oh my God, the scene. And he's like, you heard everything. Oh my God. In any case, Kaji, you're starting to sound like Hiragi. Were you imitating him or something? Did he give you the same lecture back then? Oh my God. Kaji, like, absolute freak out. What is this man? What is this man? Umemiya is a dork. He's such a dork. I know that there's probably an aspect of him that is like Sakura from his past, but this man is a dork. I don't think Sakura will ever be this dorky as Umemiya, but Umemiya is such a little dweeb. I cannot with him. Oh my God, the expressions are so freaking funny. And he's just like, hiss. This scene is so amazing. It's like, by the way, what were y'all talking about? And then he just gets punched in the face. I like that Hiragi was like, you deserved this. And I like that for Kaji, it was a reflex. Because Kaji freaks out after he realizes what he did. Hiragi's like, yeah, you deserve that and a kick, but okay. He's like, yeah, why are we surprised? And Sakura's like, oh my God, he just got punched in the face. Not that it did anything. Umemiya is a freaking tank. That man is like a freaking, what's Mr. Steak from Team 4 Star when they do Nuzlocke? Oh, Mr. Steak, Meganium. He's like Chikorita's final form is Umemiya. He's a Meganium. He's a freaking tank. He can take a lot. Yeah. And then Kaji's like, oh shit, I punched the leader in the face. What did I do? Oh my God. And he just like, he panics, head in his hands, and he's like, no! I like that he put the headphones on, and he's like, I gotta get out of here. What did I do? You know he's gonna go tell Umemiya, he's gonna tell Inamoto and Kasumi exactly what happened, and they're gonna have to cheer him up. Also, freaking Umemiya, this insane man, is over here laughing and smiling about it. And Sakura's like, what are these weirdos? He's like, well, he has grown a lot. That was a great punch. Hiragi's like, he should have kicked you too while he was there. Sakura's like, y'all are weird. But yeah. And he's like, well, I do a ton of lame stuff that's not cool. But I'm not scared. Because I know that everyone will accept me even if I'm like that. So I think I can do things that other people can't. Even if they're lame and uncool, I love them. I love that. I love that conversation Umemiya has. He's like, look, relying on people is great. He's like, because then you can do stuff that you enjoy and love, and you don't have to worry about them judging you or about feeling like, yeah, I'm lame and uncool, but I don't have to worry about them judging me about it. I can do what I want. I can have my little garden. Everyone is like that. Being being relied upon, forgive, being forgiven. That's how you stay together. I love that. Believe in Kaji and believe in your buddies. And jump right out there with everything you got. Like, he's a freaking motivational coach. He's like, let me be your life coach and therapist. And I like that Sakura relates to in that moment when he talked to Nagato. He's been telling Nagato and Anzai to look up. And he's like, look who's talking. I've been doing the same damn thing. I've not been looking up either. I love that. I love Sakura getting serious too in that moment. And Umemiya's like, see? To think Kaji's giving advice to an underclassman. And Hiragi's like, he's like, aren't you happy as an upperclassman? And Hiragi's like, well, you don't know the half of it. Because then he remembers back the year prior when he had Kaji have a seat next to him after he got beat up in the same ordeal like they talked last episode about. I love it. And him sitting there. Ah, it's so good. It's so freaking good. The connections there, y'all. How can you not love this? It's freaking amazing. I was wondering why they called it Senpai's Teachings. I really was wondering why it was being called that. But then when we got Kaji involved and then Hiragi involved and then Umemiya involved, it all made sense. I freaking love it. So yeah. I like Umemiya's like, they showed me something really good today. And he's like, you shouldn't have stuck your butt in. And he's like, oh, well, today's an anniversary. Let's go get everyone together and have a party. And he's like, no, let's not. You are not allowed to talk about Sakura and Kaji's growth on the teleprompter. No, they will kill you. And he's like, well, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Umemiya is so adorable. I freaking love him. I love him so much. He's so cute. Y'all. Oh. This episode was so good. I loved this episode. Honestly, it was a fairly straightforward episode. I mean, we didn't get a lot of individual character work, but we did get to see a lot of work like with Sakura working out with Kaji and Umemiya and Hiragi and working out with Suo and Narai and Kotoa. There was a lot of like little interpersonal communication going on this episode, which I'm a big fan of. And I have so much intrigue about Umemiya. I have so much intrigue about Suo. I know eventually the show will get to them, but they're probably the more interesting characters, so we're going to wait on that, and that's fine. But I did not anticipate walking into this episode and it being what it was. I did not. I felt like last week was the aftermath episode, so we were done, but y'all, this episode blew me out of the water, and it's so good. I want to hear your thoughts down below about it. What did you take from the episode? What did you like about it? Please no spoilers for what's to come, but I could just sing its praises all day long. I loved this. So with that being said, I am excited to hear your thoughts down below. I anticipate many comments to talk about this episode, so we'll see. But, how are we a third of the way through? No! Hate that. Hate that we're a third of the way through season 2. Don't like that at all. No. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I am excited to hear your comments, and I will talk to you all again soon with more Windbreaker.